So I do want to just recap just quickly for those who have recently joined our interview, and even for those who've been listening, some powerful tools that you have given us for how to begin to deal with trauma, not just live in the trauma, but deal with trauma with the steps and plan and projection of moving beyond the trauma. And so you have talked about, first of all, facing the fear, telling the truth about what has happened, about what we feel about what's happened, actually experiencing our grief as
Yes.
because there's so much that's being lost, and
Yes.
and there is grief about that, and then getting in touch with what is my grief pattern, because I've lost things before. I've relocated from one place to another. That meant I had to leave something behind to go to the new place. I've lost job before. I've lost money before. I've lost family members before. So each one of us has a grief pattern. So
Yes.
we already have a pattern of how we respond to and grieve about these losses. And so you've really suggested very clearly getting quiet and practicing being in the silence for a few minutes at a time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And in the case of where many of us are sheltering in place and at sheltering at home, staying home, where there are more people in the house together at one time, establishing that boundary of, okay, this is mom's 20 minutes in the bathroom uninterrupted, or this is dad's 20 minutes in the office, the home office. Don't knock on the door. This is not time for anybody to need anything. This is my time that I am going to practice the silence of being alone with myself, listening to my self-talk. And then you've also shared something even so powerful, which is to create our support system or reach out to our support system. You've got to have someone who can, when you are at that brink, you can call, text, Zoom with, whatever, and hear the feedback that you are valuable. Your life matters. You will get through this. You will move beyond this. You have moved beyond things before. You are strong enough. You are talented enough. You are special. And it's so important to have that voice or those voices and that type of support. So these are all tools that you have recommended that we can practically use and implement as we move through our trauma to that new positive place of overcoming.
Wow, that was beautifully said. Thank you so much. So I've been co-hosting a radio show for the last 2 years, to my great surprise. And this is really an example of life manifesting itself out of broken places. I did not intentionally seek to be a co-host of a wellness program, but it grew out of an invitation to speak to a group. And that speaking to one group about, essentially it was acute stress response. What happens after we've gone through traumatic experiences from the hurricanes? We did breathing, we did meditation. We talked about the ways in which that the normal response can be manifested in all of us. So one thing led to another, and funding sources, which then started this show. Little did I know 2 years later that it would be a thing now. And so I share that with those listening and viewing to know that in the broken places, this grew out of a traumatic experience. And so I use this most recent part of my own story, as I could have used many other parts of coming out of traumatic experiences in my life that I thought that I would not recover from, or I thought that the broken places were too deep for me. And yet it's often in that bridge over to the other side of wellness, once you get out the freeze and of the flight, and you engage the fight with intention, not fist fighting, but fight with engagement and being open. My heart and my mind was open to be of support. And so from that started this radio show. And we have 80 something shows that we have done, to my great surprise.